Here is London, giddy London, is it home of the free or war?
Hey gals and guys, this is Michael Ferrari of Cinema to Meep. Welcome to the 7th Patreon bonus episode. And today joining me is my good pal, Daniel Archer.
Michael, hey!
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. I've had a lot of fun recording. What did we do, like 2 episodes together? And it's our third one.
We did. Yeah, I'm super excited to be doing Patreon with you.
It's I like these Patreon episodes because we could, instead of doing like the traditional top 10s, we can go a little wacky with it. And this one, I think, and also we can get a little niche with it, I guess you would say. And I would say definitely this is a bit of a niche topic today.
For sure.
What is our topic today?
We're talking about hair and horror.
Exactly.
And I am freshly permed and mulleted and ready to go. Basically, I look like Susan Blue in Friday the 13th Part 7 right now. So, what about you? Did you get a crimp?
I definitely have a crimp in my hair. I got it curling. I borrowed the curling iron from Sleepaway Camp. So I have curls as well. Every winter I let my hair grow out because it's just colder, and I don't like to have too short of hair in winter. It's a kind of a weird thing that I do. It's also general laziness. I just don't get as many haircuts, so I let my hair grow out. It was getting really ridiculous up until like just a few days ago. I just got a haircut and. I looked pretty nuts, and every morning I'd wake up and look in the mirror. I'm like, my hair is like huge and in all different directions, and I got a haircut, and you know what? It still looks that way. I woke up and my hair was still like really a mess, and I will never have good hair. So
I can totally relate. Yeah, I know. I was so afraid doing this podcast I would sound like some kind of bitchy Joan Rivers like wannabe or something, but honestly, I know of what I speak. I have had some of the shittiest haircuts ever. And in fact, one of my worst haircuts is exactly the same haircut as somebody I'm going to be talking about today. So it was pretty bad.
I can't wait. Yeah, I decided to get like sort of an 80s-ish haircut where my hair is a lot longer on top and,
nice.
And shorter. I didn't like shave on the sides or the back of the head, but it's pretty short, so it's very floppy on top. So
okay.
Kind of a little bit of a new wave haircut, but I wake up in the morning because I guess I move around a lot when I sleep. It's everywhere.
I dig floppy hair. I used to have floppy hair when I was younger. Now I have to keep it short. When I go to get my hair cut at Chez Coiffeur, as we say in France, the guy I just let the guy kind of like cut my hair the way he wants because I never know what looks good, and I don't know, if I don't keep it short, it gets I get like a mushroom head. I've been told I have Asian hair, and which is weird because I'm not remotely Asian. But what they mean is that my hair just kind of like sticks out on all sides. So if I don't keep the sides short, I get the mushroom head, and basically I kind of look like the love child of like 70s era Elton John and Paul Williams. You know, it's not an attractive, flattering look for me. So.
It also makes you pretty small, like those guys.
Yeah, it does.
Somehow,
so
with big hair.
Short is best.
All right, I'm envisioning it. I have all kinds of like images in my head now, and I'm into it. Well, thank you, Patreon supporters, for supporting the show. I just wanted to mention just a few of our new supporters, and one of them is you, Daniel Archer.
Yes, that's Hi.
Thank you. Eli, Mac Hardiman, Wes, Leon Saul, and Demetrios Patsiaris are all new supporters of the show, or recent supporters of the show. I just wanted to take this moment to thank each and every one of you. Keeps the lights on, keeps the podcast going, and I really appreciate it. All right, so let's get into big hair as we know it. This is the first category, I guess, big hair. When I think of like horror hair, I think of big hair. There's been so many big hairdos in movies in general of a certain time period, more specifically the 80s, and there were big. I guess there have been big hair throughout time. It's been big hair.
Yeah, but you're right. It kind of hit its apex in the 80s. Yeah.
It just that all the many. I guess all the advertising of 80s styling products that there were out there, people really, I'm going to incorporate some of those in here in this podcast. You'll get to hear them throughout the episode. Some of the vintage hair care products and commercials.
Hats off to New Breck for giving me clean body. Hats off to Breck because clean body really lasts. Hats off to New Breck shampoo with an improved, thicker formula. It gives hair clean body, like this, without heavy, oily conditioners that attract dirt and weigh hair down like this. So, hats off to Breck! Hats off to Breck for giving me clean body. New improved Breck gives clean body that lasts and lasts and lasts.
I guess there was so much of that going on. It was so popular. It was a thing to do. Just go to the salon, get your hair done, get your hair did, put lots of product in your hair, and so people's hair was pretty gigantic in movies.
I mean, you can imagine. With my mushroom hair, I was obsessed with product. I mean, I had mousse, I had like Dippity Doo, Aquanet. I touched every product that was available to try to get my hair as high as I possibly could. So it was also a guy thing. It wasn't just the girls, but like big hair was for everybody.
Oh, for sure. I just because I don't use product anymore. I haven't in a really long time. Like actually, when I went to the place to get my haircut, they asked me if I wanted like mousse or something. I'm like, no, I don't think I've used mousse in 20 years. But I had flashbacks of like in the 80s when I would actually use that stuff, and yeah, my hair was it was pretty hard. I remember how hard it got with like everything. Yeah. Like if you throw something at it, would bounce off of your hair.
My dad got so mad at me one time because like I lacquered my hair with Aquanet, and one, it stank, and two, he said, "No way are you leaving the house with so much hairspray in your hair." I mean, it looked like a helmet on my head. It was awful. So it was a good call, Dad. He was right.
Listen, want to make your hair full and free? Come on, turn up the volume with new Pura Green. Turn up the volume in your hair. Turn up the volume in your hair.
Agree's new pure cleaning and pure conditioning formulas won't weigh your hair down. They'll turn it up.
Bigger, bolder, louder, wilder. Turn up the volume in your hair. Turn up the volume if you dare.
So what, big hair-wise, who jumps out at you in terms of horror movies?
Oh, well, there's no question. This was easy for me. It was the biggest hair, the biggest boobs, the biggest bitch. I would have to say Judy in Sleepaway Camp, Karen Fields. I mean, this is pretty iconic hair. And the thing about this hair is that it doesn't have volume, but it has lots and lots of length. It's like, I don't know. I was thinking, like, who has this link? Like Crystal Gale? I can't think of anybody else who had, like, You Light Up My Life, that Crystal Gale. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, Judy's hair doesn't have any of Crystal Gale's, like, luster and shine. It's just this, like, thick, frizzy thing with dried ends that she pulls to the side of her head with different colored, like, hair, like, I don't know what they are, like rubber bands or something like that. She's always pulling it to the side, I guess, so she can show off in, her t-shirt that has the big puffy lettering that spells out her name, Judy, so everybody knows who she is. She's not covering up her name. And the other weird thing about Judy, is that, well, there's two weird things. One, she's always taking a shower in this movie. She comes out of the shower, and then, it doesn't really affect her hair. Like, when it dries, it looks dry to me. It's not very shiny. And she also owns, obviously, a curling iron, but I have no clue why, because it's not like she ever curls her hair. It's just, just like, flat and straight. So... yeah, it's crazy, crazy hair. And that curling iron scene, man, hair plays an important role in this movie.
Hair of all kinds, yeah.
Yeah. Death by curling iron in the cooch. So yeah, I would have to say Judy. Yeah.
The Sleepaway Camp movies in general sport some crazy, crazy hair. We'll get into, like, maybe some mullets a little bit later from Sleepaway Camp, one of the Sleepaway Camp movies. But I would say from the Sleepaway Camp series, big hair-wise, besides Judy, I would vote for Allie in Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yes.
Who has very big hair, and it's very wild, much like Allie herself. The hair definitely reflects her big personality, and she's the perfect horror movie bitch, along with Judy. For me, in slasher movies, I always think of those two as outstanding horror movie bitches, and so I guess there's something to, like, being a horror movie bitch and having big hair. I guess. I don't remember many short-haired bitches in horror movies as much.
No. You're right. They all seem to have long. Yeah, I can't think of any. Yeah.
The bitch Jennifer kind of had a bob. Which she liked to cover in, like, turbans for some reason, inexplicably. But it wasn't as long as, say, Judy or Allie. But I don't know. I just think of those. My vote for biggest, maybe Debbie from played by Brooke Thies from Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Because it was so high, so big, so much hairspray.
So Bon Jovi. She was clearly living on a prayer.
I just generally liked her look in that movie, and I like these. I like the Elm Street movies because the characters were so clearly defined, and especially clearly defined by what they wore and how they wore their hair, and she was the one into working out, and of course that's how she met her demise, by working out and of course turning into a giant cockroach, as you do in horror movies. And I just thought her hair being so big was a interesting look on her, along with everything else, and the leotards
this big permy hair that, like, Debbie and Allie had. I really like that look, actually. I kind of miss that look. It seems like it would take a lot of care, You know, I mean, there's clearly a lot of product in the hair, and they have to like, you know, style it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess. But yeah, Debbie has cool hair, and I definitely remember that hair. That was hair. I remember two like really important hairstyles on all the teenage girls at my school. There was that sort of like Bon Jovi metal chick hair, which was for all the really kind of badass girls. They probably smoked and listened to metal and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The other style, which I'm not such a fan of, was the Dirty Dancing Baby frizzy perm. Mm-hmm. Like I went to school one day and suddenly everybody looked like Baby. But you know, you had to be really careful with that because that was not a perm for everybody.
No, definitely not. It took many hours probably to get her hair right in that movie.
Yeah.
It's funny how teenagers are so informed by these movies and their looks too, and how they kind of just, you know, they want their lives to reflect these movies in a way, and these characters kind of reflect on them. And it's interesting how much a horror movie too even can inform how you look. And I know I wanted to dress a certain way, I wanted to look a certain way from some certain movies, and my hair though, I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't. I guess it wasn't as inspired from horror movies. Otherwise, it would have looked pretty crazy, I guess.
Well, I'll say more about that when we get to worst hair. So.
Big hair-wise, I have a list here of other. I'll just go through them. Like, I thought Rebecca Gayheart, of course, in An Urban Legend, had huge curly hair, which I like how the movie. Her hair gets bigger and bigger as she gets crazier towards the end of the film, which is, of course, a big spoiler for that movie, but it's 21 years old now, so... Sorry.
If you haven't seen it, yeah.
Her hair is pretty huge by the end of the movie, and I love that. I love how hair can get bigger and bigger. Classic-wise, of course, Bride of Frankenstein. That hair was some of the finest big hair we've seen in horror movies early on. Kurt Russell in The Thing. He had pretty beautiful big hair.
Oh man, I'm obsessed with Kurt Russell's hair. You know, in every one of his movies, like there's this evolution of the mullet. Basically, he kept the mullet throughout the 80s, but I think it looks best here. And then he's got that beard, you know, it's like a really hefty beard. He's very hirsute.
Yes.
I mean, Wilford Brimley's mustache, that's no match for the beard that Kurt Russell has.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks good. Like, it doesn't matter if he washes it or he doesn't wash that hair. He just looks great. So, if I'm stuck in the icy tundra, I hope it's with Kurt Russell.
Yeah, when I think about my bad hair and then I see, like, Kurt Russell, like, all these years later, like something like Death Proof, and his hair is still amazing and big and beautiful, I'm like, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I know. You know, God, I think he and Goldie Hawn, they must be the couple with the most amazing hair. And they've also managed to sort of maintain the same style of hair for, you know, their entire career, and it still looks good, so... Hair goals.
For sure. Recently, Albert Finney had passed away, sadly, but I wanted to mention him here. Albert Finney in Wolfen sported some really big horror movie hair, and I think he looks great in it. Actually, I don't think of Albert Finney in big hair, but for some reason he let it grow out for Wolfen, and it looks really good on him in that movie.
It does. It's got a lot of heft.
Yes.
You know, it's hefty hair. It's hair that's appropriate for a serious actor like Albert Finney, I think.
Right. Wolfen's pretty silly.
Yes.
But I don't know. I rewatched it a few months ago, and I really got into it again. And I'm glad I picked up the Blu-ray from Warner Archive. Tawny Katane in Witchboard, of course, had huge hair.
Oh man. Yes.
Huge, amazing hair. You can't touch that hair.
No, that hair is glorious. You can't take your eyes off that hair. Whether it's, you know, she's pulling it back with a bandana or just piling it up, it's just amazing hair.
And you know, she made a career out of having big hair in the music videos that she did, of course. lots of hair being tossed around. So good for you.
Yeah, I know she's in that car in that White Snake video, and she's got her head out the window, and the hair is just flying. It's amazing.
More noteworthy hair in terms of big in size. Tina, of course, from Halloween 5 had some big hair. Kelly Preston in Spellbinder, pretty big, curly, and dark hair for her, which is unusual. Jennifer Beals in Vampire's Kiss. Her hair was pretty big. There's a couple of characters in Cheerleader Camp, maybe not the main one, definitely not Lucinda Dickey in Cheerleader Camp, but there's another one in there that has huge hair. I really wish Cheerleader Camp would show up on Blu-ray. I feel like more people would enjoy that movie.
I haven't seen that movie in forever. I'm looking at pictures right now. You're right. There's a lot of big hair in this movie.
Some really big hair in there. It's a fun movie. I really like that one. And JJ from Friday the 13th Part 8 had some big hair.
Yes, yeah. Big hair, and it was kind of shaggy. Yeah.
But Friday the 13th wise, my favorite big hair from that franchise is actually not in the movies. It comes from Roby in the Friday the 13th, the series.
Ah, yeah.
Who had huge hair. Like, her hair would sometimes be a little bit more pulled back, sometimes a little bit more straight, sometimes it'd be literally filling up the frame. The volume. It was clearly very teased out, and yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch. I'll send you a screenshot that I have of
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it now. Yeah,
it's
I know.
amazing.
I know that hair. That hair is fabulous.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So big, can crush a small child.
It's true.
Let's get into, before we start making fun of people's hair completely, we'll get into our best hair section.
Okay.
Right after this.
What's it all about? It's about making a statement, about being you, whoever you are, wherever you want. The Braun Independence helps make it easy. Without a cord, it heats up fast to give your hair a style that's yours alone. It's you, whoever you are. The Braun Independent 2000.
All right, who do we got for best hair? Who do you want to vote for?
I have a lot for best hair. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, first off, let me just say something. Before we started recording, I just went on Facebook and I was sort of looking at what some people had been writing, what they thought about the best hair. And several people mentioned Nancy Loomis, and I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. I didn't even think about that, but she is beautiful, and her hair, especially in Halloween as Annie, she's got these sort of like naturally loose curls that were really in style in the late 70s. But although when I think of that hair, it makes me think of like early Bette Midler. I think she has that hair on one of her records. And it's frizzy, it's curly, it's just very natural, and that hair looks great. But unfortunately, I didn't even think about that one, so I'm glad somebody mentioned her. But for me, well, I'll start with a guy. I really like. You were saying, teenagers, they want to copy the like styles that they see in movies and stuff. For me, I have to say it was Crispin Glover in Friday the 13th Part 4. I mean, that was the perfect flop. Floppy hair, and when he ran his hands through it, it would just flop back into place perfectly, and no problem at all. Like, it was nicely feathered. And the thing about that hair is that it was really a kind of like very preppy style. It was pretty, you saw it a lot back then. Mm-hmm. So it kind of, signaled clean cut, like a nice boy. But in that movie, he's always talking about how horny he is and stuff like that. So I like that. I like that this sort of like clean cut preppy hair is like really hiding this horn dog underneath all of that. So that's my guy. As far as like best hair on women go, I have a few. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but Barbara Magnolfi, who played Olga in Suspiria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's the one who has the apartment that Susie goes to stay in. She's like the Matahari girl. Her hair is amazing in this movie when she's sitting in her, crazy Italian designed apartment. It's all piled up behind her. It's kind of like she looks like a cobra or something. It's just like this really thick Italian hair piled up on her head. And there's something a little bit strange about it, and she's kind of a strange character too, so it's fitting. So I have to say her. Definitely I have to mention Catherine Deneuve in The Hunger. I think Catherine Deneuve is one of the most beautiful women in the world, and she's got that really thick French hair, really, really blonde. I mean, that's hair that makes a statement.
For sure.
And if you just saw Catherine Deneuve's hair, that is Catherine Deneuve. And this is a movie that is all about style. It's all high glam, new wave, and I just love the way that she styles her hair in this movie. It's sort of like swept up in this wave, and you can't take your eye off of the wave in the front. It looks very 1930s, 1940s. But then it's really cool because when she goes in for a kill, like a tendril falls out on her face. And it still looks, she looks a little bit disheveled, but it's still really sexy and glamorous. So definitely Catherine Deneuve. And then my last one, I don't know, it's a little, maybe some people think it's a little bit boring, but I also think Virginia Madsen as Helen in Candyman is so perfectly coiffed. She has, Virginia Madsen always looks really angelic in all of her movies, but I think she looks especially angelic here. Her hair is in these, this sort of like, these soft curls. It's permed and it's kind of short, but it captures the light, so she looks a bit angelic. And the thing about this movie that always kills me is that I was a teacher for a long time, and also I remember what I looked like when I was in grad school. Helen is supposed to be this grad student who's investigating the mystery of Candyman in the Cabrini Green housing projects in Chicago, and every scene, she looks like she's so put together. She's wearing, tailored blazers and those big boxy jeans that we all wore in the 90s. But she looks great. Her hair looks great. And I looked like shit in grad school. I never lied. My students didn't look that great either. But she looks really good for a student, I have to say that. And I guess also, like, her soft curls, it's sort of an interesting juxtaposition with this kind of dark, mucky world of Cabrini Green that she goes crawling through, and then at the end, when ultimately she becomes like a candy woman, and she has to burn her hair off in the process. So I guess it kind of makes sense that they start her off as being sort of angelic, and then at the end, without the hair, she becomes more demonic. So yeah, Virginia Madsen, I think she's great in this movie, and her hair is really good too. So
I like that you mentioned her because maybe not an obvious choice. I think her hair. I've always obviously loved Virginia Madsen, and I like that you pointed out she looks angelic in movies, and she really, truly does. Like say something like Fire with Fire, where her hair is very light and really just looks very angelic. And here it's like it's definitely a good contrast to what's going on. Sure. And I like that she takes a bit of a hair journey. I like hair journeys in movies. Like my number one, I guess, would be Nancy Thompson in A Nightmare on Elm Street. In the series itself, how her hair kind of goes on a bit of a journey, and it's so integral to the story and how it changes with the film and how her hair reflects the hardship she's going through, and how it's I just love that about what it does, and I like that it happened in Candyman with by the end of the movie she had this really short burned hair, and she was different.
Yeah, hair. I'm with you, especially Nancy's hair. I'm so glad you mentioned Nancy's hair, actually, because it's really kind of an embodiment, I think, in some ways of her character. I mean, in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it's very simple. I mean, it's just the kind of standard issue perm that a lot of girls had at that time. I mean, she has like curly bangs. Sometimes she pulls it back in this sort of pretty pre-Raphaelite way, I guess. It's sort of tight around the scalp, but it hangs off her, from the back. But then, what's so interesting about that is that she gets that gray streak. And that gray streak, it almost kind of like supercharges her a little bit. It's, like this bolt of electricity or something. And she becomes more assertive and less of a victim, I guess. And she takes charge, and then she keeps it. She keeps it in part 3. And
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I mean, in part 3, she's totally unstoppable. She's sort of grown into her own, and she just looks great. And also, I just love the fact that, she's not trying to color her gray. I'm starting to get a little bit of gray right now, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Embrace the gray. It looks good, especially on her. But I guess the other thing I want to say about Nancy, too, what I was thinking is that it's so funny. She looks nothing like Ronnie Blakely. I mean, I love Ronnie Blakely's alcoholic hair. It's such a mess. But it's great, for her. And then, so I guess maybe she takes a little bit more after John Saxon.
Right.
Maybe she's more of her father's daughter. But yeah, I'm totally with you on Nancy.
And John Saxon may make this list somewhere later.
I wonder if she takes after John Saxon in other ways.
I know. That would be an interesting twist. But yeah, the gray streak to me, I always looked at it as like the moment of the movie where her innocence is lost, and because she's really been through something. It's symbolic of her now maturity that she has to the new Nancy, how she has to endure and of course overcome the bad guy in this case. And she takes it through part 3, and she is the almost parental figure in that, and I love that. I mean, the 1-2 punch of 1 and 3 in her character arc is pretty amazing to me. And how
I've seen pictures of that wig that they were going to put on Nancy. Oh my God! I'm so glad that they didn't go with that wig. I mean,
know.
It was crazy. This this gray Brillo pad. They definitely made the right choice.
She would have made our worst wig list.
Totally.
Thank you for staying away from that. Best hair-wise, Lori Loughlin, I would say, in Amityville 3, or Lori Loughlin in any movie. She's the kind of hair that you could literally put a blowtorch to it, and it probably would stay the same way.
I'm not kidding. I am obsessed with Lori Loughlin's hair. I mean, you're right. In Amityville 3, in all of her movies, she's got that perfect wave in the front. Like, she parts it, and then it sort of falls in a wave around her forehead, and it gives her power. It's her special Lori Loughlin power,
Sure. Reflects bullets. Any and demons. Well, not in that case. Maybe not in the case of Amityville 3. I won't give it away, but I've always loved her hair. Lucinda Dickey in Ninja 3 has great hair, great, even big hair too. I've always liked her hair. Barbie Benton in X-Ray or Hospital Massacre. It has a few titles. She has pretty nice hair. It always stuck out as well as other things in that movie.
Yeah.
Morgan Fairchild in The Seduction. She wins a great hair award in that, as well as Best Nails. Newer movie-wise, Sharni Vincent in You're Next has really good hair. And she goes through a lot, and her hair stays pretty nice. It's like a testament to her good hair. It's funny you mentioned Catherine Deneuve, because I also wrote down the cast of The Hunger on my list here. David Bowie has good hair. I mean,
he does. He almost made my list. He could very easily be on my list. You're right. He has great hair.
And of course, Anne Magnuson and everything. She has great avant-garde hair and everything. I love her.
Wait, did you mean Susan Sarandon?
Anne Magnuson actually wrote down, because I think Anne Magnuson and David Bowie in that movie.
Oh, that's right.
In particular, look pretty new wave, and because they were new wave in the way they approach things, and I like their hair in that especially.
I totally forgot Anne Magnuson was in that movie. You're right. She's one of the victims at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Best goth hair would go to Winona Ryder in Beetlejuice. I liked her hair. I like how full on goth it was in a kind of a PG movie setting, which is kind of nice. Daphne Zuniga in everything horror movie she was in. She always had and still has great hair. She's one of those actresses like Lori Loughlin who don't seem to age too much, and even Virginia Madsen. They all look really good, and and they're approaching their 60s. Rebecca Balding gets an award in Silent Scream and The Boogans. She has this kind of fun, roundish kind of bob in Silent Scream, and she wears these huge, big, round sunglasses to really even make her hair look even more bobby. But it's like so perfectly bobbed. It's like it's amazing. And The Boogans, she not less of a bob, but also pretty perfect hair. Patch McKenzie in Graduation Day has really good hair. Billy in Silent Night, Deadly Night I wrote down here. I remember him having good blonde hair. The rare good blonde hair, especially of a killer in a movie too. I feel like a lot of the killers in these movies have kind of bad hair or crunchy hair or just like really not so nice, but he's the rare killer in 80s horror movies who actually was pretty handsome and had good hair.
Oh, I'm so glad you said. I feel a little wrong admitting that I found Billy really hot, but that nice fluffy blonde hair that looks really good on him, and it was perfectly parted. This is another version of the Crispin Glover preppy style that was really like everywhere in the 80s. I remember this hair very well.
There should have been a scene in Southern Night, Daily Night where he's like chasing people in his Santa costume, and then he to stop them, he just takes off his outfit, and then they're like, oh, but you're so cute.
You've got nice cheekbones and good hair.
Yeah, kind of throws him off that way. I would say best bad boy hair would go to James Spader in Jack's Back. I talked about James Spader in other movies where he looked almost albino-esque in The New Kids, of course, starring Lori Loughlin and her perfect hair. Here he has good bad boy hair, and he even has an earring too to highlight his bad boyness. And I remember when watching it a year ago or 2 years ago, I thought, he has good hair. And that,
the thing about that is he's got the same mushroom head that I do, and somehow his hair manages to look great. My hair would never look like that, but you're right. He had great like waves. It almost looked a little permed. I'm not sure.
It was definitely very stylized in that. It was very styled in that movie to definitely make himself look different from his twin in that movie, who had kind of more typical James Spader hair, like waspy kind of looking hair.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I wrote in because I totally forgot. It was a last-minute addition. Tracy Lind in Fright Night Part 2 has amazingly big and beautiful blonde hair. Can't forget to mention Tracy Lind in that. Even in My Boyfriend's Back in 1993, she had really good hair in that. She's just one of those people who's just quite beautiful and striking looking, and poorly underrepresented in movies. She didn't do a lot. But
she's really beautiful in Fright Night Part 2, and you're right, her hair looks great. Although I can't really say the same for Brewster's mullet. Why did Brewster have to grow out a mullet when he went to college? It's not even a good mullet. Like, it curls in the back. It's a very curly mullet. But fortunately, you can't take your eyes off of Tracy Lind's hair in that movie, so you don't really notice the mullet so much.
So true. I wrote two more things down. Oh yeah, best headband in a movie would go to the final girl, Janet Julian in Humongous. She had pretty plain, long, straight hair, but she had a headband, so that makes her win the awards for that. And best hair couple in general, I would say Michael and Star in The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Best hair, best 80s hair for sure.
I would give them the award. Maybe also in The Fly, Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. They both have matching mullets in that, so they look pretty good together as well.
Very 80s looking couples. If you think,
Yeah.
They definitely looked of their time, which I like for sure.
Yeah.
Before we get into worst hair, here's this.
Hold hair longer, hold hair stronger with Bold Hold. New Bold Hold is the ultimate power hold. It's wild! Maximum hold for maximum style. Hold hair longer, hold hair stronger with Bold Hold. New Bold Hold!
Worst hair, what do you got?
All right, so here we go. Here's the haircut that I will forever live in my personal infamy. My worst hair goes to Martin Cummins in Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Martin Cummins was Wayne Weber, the geeky aspiring filmmaker who walks around with the camera. Oh, fuck. Where to start? Okay, so he has a man bob, and I had the same stupid man bob. And, if you weren't around back then, you don't know what a man bob was. Basically, it was a bob for men. And it was not attractive at all. I mean, basically, I look like Patty Duke on the Patty Duke show, and that's not a good look for a teenage boy, and it doesn't look any better on Wayne Weber, and on top of that, Wayne Weber is walking around in these shirts that he buttons up to his collar, and he has these, like, big sort of Sally Jesse Raphael glasses, and I had that same exact look. Basically, I was Wayne Weber, and, yeah... not good. But, like Wayne Weber, I used to just let my bob flow in the wind. I remember styling it with lots of product, sort of pushing it back. And the thing is, if you didn't push it back, it would just, like, all sort of fall in your face. Like the girl from, what's it called? The video movie. I'm blanking. Samara. Yeah, it wasn't. It took a lot of care. But the thing about Martin Cummins that's so interesting, he was for some reason I wanted that hair back then, but now I want to look like him now. He is amazing. He's this totally buff silver fox. He plays the sheriff on Riverdale. He's the dad of the gay kid, Kevin. Right. And, he's cut it short, and he looks great, so... I don't know. For anybody out there listening, if you had a man bob, just know that there's hope. There is life after the man bob. So.
I like that he got out of the 80s and his hair survived somehow.
Yeah, it's possible to survive a man bob.
He survived. The ultimate worst hair. Gosh, there's a lot of bad 80s. There's a lot of bad hair in horror movies, but I would say Gale Weathers in Scream 3. Courtney Cox's hair is probably the worst because it's inexplicably bad. Like, why did they choose to go with that? It's like,
Michael, I'm going to be controversial. I like her hair.
You do?
I do. I mean...
Those bangs?
Yeah,
why?
If the cheekbones don't kill you, the spiky bangs will. She's very, very sharp and thin in this movie. But and I guess for that, I don't know. I always thought her character, Gale Weathers, was always pretty spiky. Anyway, I mean, she's kind of a hard character, and it was always a little more subtle. I guess this haircut, it kind of like brought it out more. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just like weird hair. And I do remember this hair was a thing for like 5 minutes, and it never really caught on. But I guess they all took a look at Courtney Cox's forehead and thought, don't do that. It's a lot of forehead. I'll give you that.
It's a lot of forehead. It just seems so like... Why is she doing this? Like, why is she doing this to herself? And I'm, like, convinced that's the reason why there wasn't a Scream movie in 11 years after this. It's because of her hair alone.
It ruined the franchise.
I thought Sherry Moon Zombie's hair in Lords of Salem was I didn't understand it. Not my thing. Dreadlocks on white women or women in general. I don't know. It's not. Yeah, I didn't understand her hair. It looked
Once again, I got to tell you, this is a really controversial topic. I love her hair. I love this look.
Who are you?
Blonde dreads, and she's her eyewear is on point, and she's got that pimp jacket, and there's like no concessions being made to being pretty or normal. And to me, it was I like that look a lot actually. Maybe it's the San Francisco in me. I don't know. I'm a freak.
I just thought, like, I wouldn't want to spend time with her in an elevator because her hair looked like it's really smelled to me.
Yeah, I don't know how you washed that hair. Maybe it did stink. I don't know.
I wasn't a fan of Sigourney Weaver shaving her head in Alien 3. I'm still not a fan of that movie, but I don't know. I just didn't... I feel like it took away her power, that her hair in 1 and 2. I liked her hair in the first 2. I liked that it was short, and in the second one was shorter, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it kept getting short by the third one. Like, oh, we just have to shave it now. Now that it's short. So
again, I gotta tell. we're on different. We disagree. I loved her hair. Actually, it was very G.I. Jane, and talk about a hair journey. I mean, she goes from like in the first Alien to having those sort of like long curls to having no hair, and she just is so tough and. Yeah, I don't know. At the time, I remember it being very shocking that Sigourney Weaver shaved all her hair off, and it is even still when I look at her. It seems a little odd, but I don't know. I'm into it.
I don't know. Maybe I just wanted her to be tough, taking away her femininity, like with her hair. And then that's how she had to toughen up. Just seemed, I don't know. It just didn't gel with me. But that whole movie doesn't gel with me for some reason.
Yeah.
Still. Hair gel with me. Gary Oldman's hair in Dracula, not a fan of that hair. Are you?
I am. Like, these could all be on my best.
This is actually his best list.
I don't know. I just think Gary Oldman in this movie, he's such a queen. He's such a freak. I mean, I love his Edwardian dandy locks, and then he has that bouffant when he's an old man. It like puffs out, and it's all pulled back, and you see his forehead. It's so bizarre, but yeah, I think he's like this sort of amazing drag queen in this movie. I love it.
I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I don't know. Gary Oldman always puts me off for some reason in that movie. I don't know. And he's another actor who had dreadlocks and probably shouldn't have dreadlocks in a movie.
Yeah.
So, not a fan of Gary Oldman hair. PJ Souls in Innocent Prey. She has huge kind of mullety hair. It's just like a big perm. It goes in every direction. It's very big. It's so big, and then at some point she wears a cowboy hat in this movie because the first part of this movie, I believe, is set in Dallas. And then it goes to Australia for the rest of it. And
her hair is hysterical in this.
Yeah, it's pretty big and poodly. Not a fan of her hair in that movie. I feel like there's a reason maybe why her career kind of didn't go where it should have went after Rock and Roll High School and Halloween, because her hair got bigger and just didn't suit her.
Yeah, we all wanted the PJ Souls with like the pigtails and the red baseball cap from Carrie, I think.
Right. I don't know. She let it grow wild and big, and I'm not a fan. And as an older actress, her hair is still kind of big. So I guess she has a thing for having big hair. Yeah. Robin Groves in The Nesting, unattractive hair. Not a fan of her hair in that. And kind of a little off-putting as a final girl-ish character. Charlize Theron's brown hair in Devil's Advocate really does not suit her. I'm not, I have nothing against actors who dye their hair a different color and give them a different look and dimension. But for some reason, it's also, I guess, a plot point in the movie to downplay her looks. But for some reason, her hair just, does not look good. And dark hair, do never dye your hair again.
That's a wig, right?
I thought was it a wig?
I don't know.
Maybe it is a wig. I just remember the reveal of her character having dark hair and just not looking good. The sister in Troll 2 has horribly crunchy hair, which was a very big thing in the 80s. Hair, having crunchy hair, not good. Tiger in The Burning had, I don't even know what kind of hair that is. Almost UFO shaped, maybe? Jensen Daggett in Friday 13th Part 8 has bad hair.
Oh, man. I hate that look.
Not good hair. No. I think it...
Talk about crunchy and fried and boring. It's sort of like Rennie.
Yes, for sure.
The character she played.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely reflects that. Talia Shire in Windows. I was going to say Widows because of the recent movie. Windows has really kind of she's like a very mousy character, and her hair kind of reflects that. It's just not fun to look at, and it also adds to the question: why is this woman obsessed with her?
Yeah,
certainly not her hair. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Linda Hamilton didn't have very good hair in Children of the Corn. Donovan Leitch in Cutting Class had a weird haircut. I don't understand it. The friend in Final Exam, he had like the worst hair probably of any guy in a horror movie ever. So like parted down the middle and also really big at the same time and short in the back. Horrible.
Oh yeah, the head butt. You know, you like part. Yeah, it looks like an ass on your head.
Basically, basically. All the hair in movies like Haunted Ween and Splatter University, and especially the movie Grotesque. Have you ever seen that?
No.
From 1987, no. Linda Blair horror movie. She has bad hair. Everyone in that movie has bad hair. So I don't blame the actors. I probably blame whoever did hair and makeup on that movie. Because everyone in that movie has terrible, terrible hair. I don't know what went wrong, but it did. Horribly wrong.
It happens.
It happens. All right. Before we get into some more categories, let's hear this.
Hey, here she comes now. You know her. Would you look at that hair? Yeah, you know her. Check out those shoes. She looks like she stepped out of the middle of somebody.
So, mullets. Let's talk about mullets. I guess mullets can be good or bad, or both.
Kind of the same thing, really.
Who's on your mullet list?
Well, for best mullet, they're hands down, no question. For me, it's Paul Sutterfield in Creepshow 2. He played Deke in the Wrapped, the second story. And, oh my God, never has a movie made me wish I was like a floating trash bag in the water like this movie. I would totally suck Deke down through the cracks of the Wrapped and eat him up. He's totally gorgeous. I mean, really, he's just this blonde muscle chew toy for gay men, I think. And who cares if he's got the mullet, frankly? I mean, he could have like Moe's hair from Three Stooges. It wouldn't really matter. I mean, you're just looking at his pecs. But if anybody could pull off the mullet, it's Deke. I mean, He is so beautiful. He makes his mullet look beautiful. He's blonde, so it captures the light, you know, and he's got, and it's usually wet too, so he's got the wet mullet look. But I don't know, I kind of debated this because I wasn't sure if this was technically a mullet. Because when you do like Google searches and stuff, the classic mullet seems really, really short, like almost shaved on the sides. Very, very, you know, it's not that long in the back, but it's still pretty long. But I don't know, I figured there's still enough, you know, this is kind of a shaggy version of the mullet, and there's still enough party in the back that it qualified as a mullet. But anyway, it's stunning, he's stunning, and yeah, so I'm going to go with Paul Sutterfield.
For my best, I'm going to go with Kiefer Sutherland in The Lost Boys.
That's a masterpiece of mulletry.
I'm usually offended when I see mullets, but for some reason I am not with him in movies. I think it just kind of weirdly suits him. And it's very blonde, it's bleached blonde, it's like a platinum blonde. And he has a whole look, of course, going on with the jewelry and the coat and just the look. For some reason that mullet just really works well. There's some really bad mullets in that movie. Like I say, Alex Winter has a really bad mullet.
Oh God, that curly mullet! It's a mess. Oh. It's a rat's nest. But you know, he's so cute that it doesn't really matter in a way. But you're right, that's a horrible mullet.
I feel like I don't pick on the mullets of that movie so much because Kiefer Sutherland's mullet is so good, and it kind of cancels all the bad mullets out.
It's mesmerizing. I mean, you can't take it. It's so strange and alien, and you know, and then also I think it complements Star's hair really well too. I mean, she's got also like really beautiful hair, and I guess it makes sense for those characters. I mean, they're supposed to be sort of otherworldly, and definitely Kiefer Sutherland's mullet is like otherworldly. It's yeah, the spiky top. I mean, it's a little bit like Billy Idol, and then the long ropey back. He's totally cool in this movie.
I feel like Joel Schumacher was like definitely Billy Idol-esque with the whole taking the mural from St. Elmo's Fire and putting it on Kiefer Sutherland. Seemed like a natural progression for me. But yeah, all the hair to me is very 80s, but on point 80s. And
I know. I just want to wrap myself inside of all of that hair. Yes. There's a lot of hair in this movie.
I just imagine hanging upside down with those guys and their hair, getting in my face while hanging next to them.
It touches the ground.
Worst mullet. Who comes to mind?
Oh,
there's so many.
Well, I know, and the thing is, I mean, so you know. By the way, I'm like totally dogging on all these haircuts and these actors and stuff. But I honestly, I love every single person that I'm talking about. I'm not that mean. And
not as mean as I am.
Especially my worst mullet, because I'm totally fascinated by this hair. It's Susan Blue as Mrs. Shepherd in Friday the 13th Part 7. And I kind of already talked about her in our Friday the 13th podcast. But you really can't talk about her enough. I mean, this was inspirational hair because I remember it was a thing with lesbians. I remember lesbians getting the Amanda Shepherd look, like in the late 80s and early 90s. And which is funny, they all wanted to look like Tina's mom, but I definitely remember that.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I know. It's again, it's not, I don't know if it technically qualifies as a mullet, but it has mullet tendencies, I would say. It's a lady mullet, so the top and the sides, they're not as short as what you would get from like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that. But they're definitely short, and this hairstyle, it just won't stop. Like, it keeps giving and giving and giving. The sides are kind of curled back, and the top, it's sort of like, it's piled up into a kind of tower. And then, and there's wispy bangs. And from the back, you see it all kind of comes together in this long, feathery cascade. and then it all comes together in a point, like a little rat's tail that touches the collar of her shirt. It's architectural. It's real. It's real hair, and it's great. I think it's all held together by a lot of hairspray and probably Tina's telekinetic powers. I mean, I don't know what else could like keep that hair going. But yeah, it's fabulous. It's one of my favorite things about this movie, and it's funny when I watch the movie now. I'm not a huge fan of Tina in Part 7. I find her like really like just kind of droopy, and her hair is also really droopy and styleless. And then when you see her standing next to Amanda, like it just like accentuates how fabulous Amanda's hair is.
There's a reason why her hair is so droopy, though. You know what it is?
I do. She was they were filming in Alabama. Is that right? Or
right.
Arkansas? Yeah, and it was very humid, so her perm kept falling out. And I read that she was complaining to the producers about it, and they were like, no, it looks great, just keep it. But I think somebody had it out for Laura Park Lincoln, because it doesn't really look that great. But Susan Blue's hair does, that's for sure. I mean, I don't even know why this is my worst mullet.
It's the best. Love this mullet. Let's call it best worst mullet, because they're all, technically bad, but amazing in their own way.
Yes.
I was gonna say Laura Park Lincoln's the real reason. I mean, I know, weather does play a part in why people's hair is bad in movies, but. The real reason, though, is all the budget of Hairspray all went to Susan Blue, obviously.
Obviously, yes.
They had no money left over.
Yeah, and what little money they had, they gave to Maddie when she gets her makeover,
right?
Because she needed to spray that hair back too.
Exactly. My best worst mullet award goes to Kevin Dillon in The Blob, who has an infamous mullet, I guess, by now in movies. I think when people think of The Blob, I think, oh yeah, Kevin Dillon and his bad hair in that movie. And I'm not a big, say, Kevin Dillon fan, but I feel like he would have been a bigger star if he didn't have such bad hair in that movie.
Well, clearly he was trying to look like Sigourney Weaver in Alien, because they're basically spitting. He's basically the spitting image of her.
That's so true.
But I'm with you. I don't get this mullet at all, because in that movie his character is supposed to be this bad boy, but to me his mullet reads like sort of effeminate, and I don't see it as being tough. But I was thinking at that time, like, it was kind of a thing for men to have sort of effeminate looking mullets, like Michael Bolton and Richard Marx, these like very sensitive singers. Like, I think that it was kind of a chick magnet, and so maybe Kevin Dillon was modeling his character after that. I don't know, but I'm with you. I don't get it.
It was a little confusing, because obviously the movie is like a remake, but also like a homage to like 50s and 60s science fiction films. So he's like representative of that typical juvenile delinquent character, and but yeah, I doubt like a James Dean character would ever have a mullet.
No.
So it's very confusing. Shawnee Smith's hair was pretty good. I mean, in the 80s way.
Yeah.
Horrible mullet award goes to Jamie Sheridan as Randall Flagg in The Stand.
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
I don't why does the guy who represents the devil, why does he have to have a mullet? Why?
So, listen, I forgot what he looked like, and last night I had to Google his picture. And I laughed for 5 minutes. This hair, is that a clip-on mullet?
It looks like it might be. It's so weird. I just don't really, it's inexplicable. I'm like, it wasn't a fashion trend in that point in the 90s to have a mullet like that.
No.
I just thought maybe they thought he would look more rock and roll or something by having him grow his hair out, and that's what it ended up looking like.
You know what it looks like a clip-on mullet to me, and from the front, he kind of reminds me of Lillian Gish in Broken Blossoms. His hair, it's kind of curling in these very soft waves.
So weird.
It's the waves around his forehead. Oh, and then also he's got like ear muffs made out of hair, like it covers his ears, and I don't know. This is quite a look. But you're right. Maybe it was meant to express the full strength of his dark powers or something.
I guess so. I don't know. I know Mick Garris directed that movie, and he has like really long, beautiful gray hair now. Have you ever seen an image of Mick Garris these days?
No.
It looks. So maybe he just wanted his actor to have long hair. I don't know.
Well, the best thing is when Jamie Sheridan, like, his mullet grows around the horns that he spouts from his head.
Yes.
Because,
oh, God.
Because the front part, the Lillian Gish part, it kind of, like, balds. And then, he's got to wrap the mullet around the horns. It's a demonic mullet, which I've never seen before.
Ladies can also have bad mullets, as we know with Susan Blue in Friday 7. So I would say Jill Schoelen's tragic mullet in When a Stranger Calls Back gets that award. Yeah. She had, I guess they were trying to illustrate the difference in time between the opening of the movie and the several years later where she is again victimized by the killer. But I don't understand that. Why a transition in time? Why does it mean give her a mullet? I don't know. I don't understand.
Nothing says time jump like a mullet. I know. Actually, the hair in this movie, I think it's kind of disappointing in general because even Carol Kane, I mean, her hair she straightens it, and I love Carol Kane's wild, witchy, curly hair. I wish that they hadn't done that with her hair.
I agree. I mean, I feel like it would just keeping her hair from the original would have been the way to go. And that's how her hair usually is, right? I feel like I've seen her hair bigger, like on like that Netflix show that she's in.
Oh, Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, I feel like her hair is just kind of like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened with
I don't know
with this one.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have kept her the way it was. I love her hair. It's great.
Or at least give that big hair to Charles Durning. That would have been amazing. Put him in a big hair wig. Bad Mullet Award goes to TC Brian Patrick Clark in Sleepaway Camp 2 for having the worst blonde mullet. Way different from Kiefer Sutherland and the Lost Boys, and this is the movie that was filmed around the same time. Just shows you how a mullet can go really wrong. It just does not suit this guy, who's very kind of jockey-looking kind of guy.
It's a dry mullet.
Yeah.
He needs a good conditioner, because that's really dry, brittle hair, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Definitely not good. But the hair in general in Sleepaway Camp 2 is there's definitely some mullets. There's some big hair on the girls. I'm a fan of obviously the mullets and the hair and the fashions of Sleepaway Camp movies. But he really sticks out. I know a lot of people think of him too when they think of bad mullets.
Yes. I was trying to remember, like, why was the mullet even a thing? I don't know. I mean, David Bowie had his mullet in the 70s, but that was like a long time before the 80s. Then, like, the mullet wave. I guess because the mullet kind of became more popular around the mid-80s. And I don't know. I just remember there was a football player named The Boz. Do you remember him? I remember he had a mullet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I wondered, like, was that the catalyst for all these crazy mullets that everybody had? It didn't really suit very many people, but they were all getting it.
The Boz made the 90s noir list because he was in a movie called Stone Cold,
right,
where he was an undercover cop in a biker gang, and that's that has a kind of a noirish plot to it. So I threw it in there because that's such a hugely entertaining movie. But yeah, his hair is pretty majestic in its mulletness. I definitely won't forget it. The last one, obscure-ish kind of mullet, is the award goes to Mike in Girls Night Out, aka the Scaremaker. I won't give away Mike's character too much, but I will say that his hair is pretty awful. And if you just maybe look up an image of it, if you haven't seen the Scaremaker, aka Girls' Night Out, he happens to be played by an actor called named David Holbrook, and he is the son of Hal Holbrook, who apparently got roped into being in that movie because of his son he wanted his son to be in a movie, so he agreed to be in the movie as well. It's low budget. It was released on VHS and DVD, but doesn't generally get a lot of love because I guess it's not a great movie or a very good movie or a good movie, but I enjoy it. And yeah, his hair is definitely not good, and maybe someone who should not be on screen with bad hair like that.
Well, I haven't seen this movie, but now I'm dying to see it, so you sold me on the bad mullet.
There is a killer in a bear costume, so there you go. You should watch it.
Why haven't I seen this movie yet?
I'm a fan. And we'll be back right after this.
Usually I get things right. I do, but not my perms. Almost right. Not quite right. Wrong. So now what happens? Precisely Right by Ogilvy. That's what happens. The perm you cannot get wrong because it times itself, and when it's through, it shuts itself off. So Precisely Right won't over-perm or frizz. It'll just give you what you want. Beautiful body and volume and soft, shiny curl. This is the hair I've always wanted. I finally got it right. Precisely Right by Ogilvy. You just can't get it wrong.
So, perms. There have been some bad perms in some movies, and some good ones. What perm-wise sticks out in your head?
Well, for me, all of the perms in Killer Workout, aka Aerobicide, are amazing. Everybody is permed in this movie. And what's so amazing about... Well, there are a few things that are amazing about all of the perms in Killer Workout. One, they all stay in place when the girls are doing some pretty hardcore, like, jazzercise.
Mm-hmm.
And two... like, every perm style is on parade. This movie is like basically an encyclopedia of perm styles. There's the poodle, the cotton candy, the Bon Jovi. Like, if you don't know anything about perms and you want to know more, just watch this movie because you'll learn everything. But this movie, I just think it's really amazing the way that the girls all sort of turn out their hair, because I go to the gym, but I look shitty when I go to the gym. Like, I'm sweating and I'm rubbing my greasy hands in my hair, and, you know, by the time I leave, I look like I've been sleeping in trash or something. But these girls, like, everything is perfectly in place, and nothing ever moves, and I don't know, maybe they all go to Rhonda's gym, and maybe they were all getting permed at Rhonda's gym right before their workout, so it stayed in place.
It's like gym / salon / yogurt.
Yeah, I know. I wish my gym had, like, they gave away perms. I would totally get one before a workout, but...
Perm you while you work out.
What's that?
You can work out with perm curlers in your hair.
Yeah. The funny thing about this movie, though, is that there's all of these scenes of the girls doing aerobics. I'm pretty sure, though, it's just like one scene, and they just edit it over and over in different ways to make it seem like these girls are always going to the classes. But really, I can just imagine them calling in all the extras, saying, "Okay, we're going to shoot this one scene. Put your best dance skins outfit on. Go get your hair permed and be here. And we're going to film you." And they basically just kept reusing that same scene over and over. So, yeah, Killer Workout for sure.
I only have one worst perm, and the rest are all positive. But this is not even, I guess, technically a horror movie. Maybe I just really like perms in horror movies. But Julianne Moore's permed hair in Safe is tragic and sad. So I put it here. I love Julianne Moore, and I love her in that movie. And when she gets the bad hair, obviously it's important to the story of the movie.
Yeah.
But I just thought, wow, her hair looks really bad, curly.
Yeah,
Don't ever
it's
do that to
atrocious.
yourself. Don't ever do that to yourself in a movie again, Julianne Moore. Don't let them curl your hair like that.
Yeah, this one, she shows a lot of hair in her movies. We get to see her pubic hair, actually, in Shortcuts.
That's true.
We see,
She loves to show the hair.
yeah. You're right, though. She looks awful with that sort of that curly hair that she has. You're right. It's terrible. Like she's Shirley Temple or something.
My favorite permed hair, I guess I would say Linda Blair in Stranger in a House, aka Summer of Fear from 1978. I love her hair in that. Now, I think Linda Blair's hair in movies generally goes up and down with me. Like sometimes she looks really good in something like this, and sometimes she looks really bad, like say Grotesque or something else where it's kind of she definitely had some mullety stuff in other movies outside of horror too. So I think maybe her late '80s hair not good, but her hair in this big, curly, and quite beautiful. I would love to pet it.
I know. She looks like a chia pet.
Exactly. It's very perfect and round.
It's very round and fluffy and almost like a halo. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Susan Sarandon's permed hair in Witches of Eastwick, I think, is especially good.
Oh, yes.
This is another redhead, so where Julianne Moore went wrong, I think Susan Sarandon went so right in this movie. And of course, the hair in that movie definitely represents her change in character and how she evolves and changes and goes from pretty dowdy and almost matronly to pretty slutty and bitchy, and I always like that big change in her character in that movie.
Oh yes, that's a total power perm. It's so big and it never stops, and you're right, it just kind of like energizes her. It's great.
Like Michelle Pfeiffer's hair in general and is perfect. I mean, it's always perfect. So she's like, no, stand back. I'm going to perm my hair, get it really big. You're not going to be able to top this.
Yeah.
I'm in charge. And then, of course, I think we both agree on this one. Alex's hair in Fatal Attraction. Glenn Close's hair in Fatal Attraction.
Another power perm, for sure.
For sure. It definitely fits into the theory. Big curly hair can also mean crazy in movies. Because Glenn Close's hair had up until this point never looked like this, and actually since has never looked like this in a movie. And I don't know, it's amazing. I just want to look at it all day long.
I know. I think it's really sexy and seductive. I love the loose, frizzy curls. And then, her character, she shatters me when I watch this movie. I always feel so bad for Alex when I watch Fatal Attraction. And in the scenes, like when Dan dumps her and she's very upset and crying, like the perm starts to look sad. Like it falls into her face. And that perm, it's very expressive of whatever emotional state Alex is in at the time. Mm-hmm. But it's a perfect perm. I love it.
I do too. I really, I don't know. I kind of would love to see her in that hair again. I know it's never going to happen, but maybe I just need to rewatch Fatal Attraction over and over.
Yeah, I'm with you. Whenever I watch a Glenn Close movie, I want to see her in that perm.
And I have a feeling she really wants to boil Olivia Colman's rabbits from The Favorite right now.
Yeah. Poor Glenn. That movie, it hasn't been released in France yet. I'm like counting the days though until it arrives. It looks amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, she is definitely the best part of that movie, and she is pretty amazing in it, I have to say. I really thought she rightfully deserved the Oscar for that movie. I loved Olivia Colman, but I thought maybe because it was more of a supporting role, I thought Glenn Close really should have. It was definitely her time. She really should have definitely won it. But I think that of all Glenn Close roles, including this one, Fatal Attraction, where she should have maybe won the award because she's so damn good.
I know, this one, Dangerous Liaisons, every movie she's in, she owns the movie.
Mm-hmm. And on Damages, amazing.
Yeah. Hey, I just remembered there's a perm I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Because it hurts me to look at it. I hate this perm so much. Lorraine Gary in Jaws 4. That perm, it is so tight on. I mean, it's the exact opposite of Alex. Like, this is a perm, it's painful to look at. It's so tight on her scalp. It looks like it hurts. Like it's going to crush her skull. And then it sort of like falls into these waves and it starts to move away from the scalp. But then it just like severely abruptly ends, like Jaws just bit into it or something, you know. And it's so crispy. If you touch it, like your fingers, or you're gonna cut your fingers or something. And whenever I look at this movie now, or whenever I look at a picture of her now, it's just that image of that perm. It's horrible, and it just makes me think like, you know, even Michael Caine's hair looks good in this movie compared to. They should have just like given her Michael Caine's look, and I think she would have been more attractive. Talk about a hair journey, because you know, in part 1 she's cute. I mean, she's got long hair, and then I love those like bandanas that she wears in her hair, like Rhoda, like Valerie Harper did as Rhoda Morgenstein. And I always think of her, like, when I watch Jaws, she reminds me of like a Shiksa, you know, Valerie, a Shiksa Rhoda on the beach. But she was much cuter in that movie. But yeah, she's got a hard, severe perm in this. And we talked about Welcome to 18. Christine Kaufman in Welcome to 18 has that same haircut. I think they went to the same stylist or something.
I think Lorraine Gary, whose husband was the head of something Universal or whatever at the time, was like, going in. I'm gonna be in the Bahamas. My hair is gonna look bad. I'm gonna put every bit of product in this hair. It's gonna be really sharp. If a shark tries to get me, I will impale it with this hair, which is so. It was actually a symbolic of the ending of Jaws 4.
It's her weapon.
Yes. I will impale anything that comes near me with my hair.
Totally.
Do not mess with Larry Gary. The ultimate diva of Jaws 4, for sure. Even more so than Eddie.
That hair.
All right, let's get into our next one here. Before we do, here is this.
Want to change the way you look? Turn on the crimper from Windmere and make some waves. Crimp it a little for a new twist. Or if that's not enough, crimp it a lot and go for totally wild. Looks spectacular tonight. Tomorrow you can always tame it for a more casual style. It doesn't cost a fortune to look like a million with the crimper from Windmere. Available at Sears.
Before, when we had a little break, I was going down a rabbit hole on Google of looking at images of Judy from Sleepaway Camp, and apparently there's someone out there who's selling miniskirts of Judy with her image of her wearing her shirt and her side ponytail.
So cool.
I definitely need to pick those up for the kids.
So cute for Benicio.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into crimping.
Yes, let's get into crimping.
Let's crimp it up.
Do you crimp?
I don't crimp. I've never crimped. I'm
You're
afraid.
Not a crimper?
I'm afraid if I crimp, I would lose whatever's left of my hair.
I've never crimped, but I'd be interested.
What crimping style really jumps out at you?
Well, there's really only one choice for me, and it's Violet in Friday 13th Part 5, Tiffany Helm. I mean, the thing about Violet that I just think she's really cool, and I kind of feel like everybody knew a girl who looked like that in the 80s, like the girl with like the Susie eye makeup and those, like the Terry Nunn from Berlin black tipped hair, and the hair was just like really, really cool. And you know, when you looked at that girl, she was the kind of girl who listened to like The Cure or New Order or the Smiths, you know, something alternative like that.
Totally.
Yeah, and her crimping skills are top. I mean, the other big crimper that comes to mind in the 80s is Kim Richards in Top Turf, who really overdoes it. That's like crimping overkill. But Violet knows when to stop. You know, she's got a she's got to look good busting moves in the halfway house when she breaks out her pseudo echo records. So she knows not to go too far with crimping. And yeah, I don't know. It's a cool look. And the thing about Violet is that she's interesting because she still has some like baby fat on her. So she seems a little innocent to me whenever I see her, but she's got this really hard-edged look. And whenever I see Violet, I just think, she's like sort of trying to be harder than she really is, or, something like that. But so yeah, she's
one of these actresses that when I look up their photos now, and I think of them such a big disconnect.
Oh, I know. I don't even recognize her.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, she does have the baby fat. She does look. She looks like a kid, and with very new wave hair. It's colored too, right? It has some color in it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Terry Nunn, the lead singer for Berlin, she used to do that to the tips of her hair, and it kind of became a thing, I guess, with alternative kids.
Right.
But it was rare to see the combination of that and the crimping. I mean, but it all sort of coalesced into this wonderful hairstyle, this coif that Violet has.
It also goes well with her breaking or whatever she's doing. Her popping and locking
to pseudo echo.
Yeah, as you do. I've learned that's the best way to listen to pseudo echo for sure.
You go to Funky Town, popping and locking.
Exactly. My vote. I think first off, I like that you mentioned Kim Richards in Tough Turf. Also, like the sheer volume of she has such long hair. Like that's a lot of crimping. Oh my god, that's gonna really crimp your wrist from doing all that crimping.
It took her hours to crimp that hair. Yeah, my favorite scene in that movie is when she does the dance at the bar and she's swinging that crimping around. But it's so obviously like a double, so they had to put a crimping wig on somebody, which couldn't have been easy to find.
I wish that crimping wig found its way on eBay. I would want to wear it. Not sure what that would look like. A fright wig for sure.
Hey, we should go out. You should wear the crimping wig, and I'll wear like the Judy wig, and we'll look like hot shit.
This is in addition to all the other things, like because on another episode we decided that we're going to wear satin jackets, like these girl gangs have in in movies, like in One Dark Night. And also, I have the scarf. I have the scarf from not graduation day, but Happy Birthday to Me. So I'm gonna wear the Happy Birthday to Me scarf, the satin jacket, and I'm gonna have a big, huge wig with very, very crimped wig.
Oh man, you are definitely ready to pop and lock to pseudo echo.
Exactly. My vote goes to Wendy Lyon, who's Vicky Carpenter. That's her character's name in Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Who has gloriously crimped blonde hair. Very interesting looking on a lead character in a horror movie of the time.
Yeah. We were talking about Virginia Madsen. For some reason, whenever I see her, I always think Wendy Lyon. She kind of has a Virginia Madsen look a little bit, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And also Emmanuel Bayard in Date with an Angel has a similar quality. And that one she's actually is an ethereal quality because she's playing an angel. But they all have a very glowing quality about them because they're very blonde hair. That's what's reflecting off of their pale skin. I like her as a final girl of sorts. She's the main character. Another one of these movies where the lead actress kind of exposes it all, which is very surprising.
Oh yes,
and quite unique to have your sense of final girl. Even though this movie is a little bit more than a slasher, it's like supernatural and all that to be also naked on screen. Yeah. So there's other hair possibilities in this movie.
Yes.
For sure. But I just when I think of crimping, for some reason I think of her immediately, and that movie is just so much fun in general.
I know.
I always love revisiting it. I'm like, where's the Blu-ray for that one? I feel like this one has a lot of fans.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I remember watching this on video and thinking that's sort of an odd final girl and main character. The whole look, it's just very unique. Yeah.
It's Canadian. It's very Canadian. I was going to
Yeah, that's
Canadian.
This is a Canadian crimp job.
Another Canadian crimp job that I absolutely love is Lenore Zahn's Lisa in Visiting Hours. She's the prostitute in the movie that is kind of victimized, and she has this glorious crimped hair. And Michael Ironside is the one who's victimizing her, and he's, he has his own very specific look going on in this movie. So match that with her hair and her very 80s outfit and underwear. It's this kind of, to me, very, very memorable. And she's also another blonde, too, that has crimped hair. So I guess maybe the blondes love to crimp.
Yeah, do brunettes crimp or redheads?
I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't. It's not as important in horror films. Only the blondes can crimp. All right, that's crimping. Let's move on to our next one.
Summer can do wild things to your hair. What do you care? Just slip on a Sears curly stretch wig for instant glamour again. Pre-styled, never needs setting. Looks so real, but it's really easy care microacrylic fibers. You can pack or crush it, get caught in the rain with it, even shampoo it. The curls just won't quit. Summer's more fun with a swirl of fashion curls from Sears.
Okay, we need to talk about, this is very important when talking about horror hair, something quite essential, wigs. Many bad wigs. Should we talk about bad wigs first or good wigs first?
How about we talk about bad wigs?
Let's talk about bad wigs.
Yeah, I do have some good ones, but yeah.
For every good wig, though, there's maybe 100 bad wigs.
Yeah. And I'm only going to talk about a few, but yes, like 100.
What's your top 100? Or your the few that stick out in your head?
Well, one of my favorite things is like when a stuntman has to double as an actress, and they just slap a wig on his head, and it doesn't matter if he's got a big burly body. They just put the wig on his head and hope that the audience will buy that that's a woman. And I can think of a couple of instances where that's the case. I earlier talked about Candyman, the scene where Helen is crawling out of the pyre, the burning fire. Mm-hmm. It's so obvious it's not Virginia Madsen. I mean, unless in a second she's bulked up and has huge calves and shoulders. It's just this like really awful burning blonde wig that they've stuck on some big guy. And then the other one that comes to mind is in Friday the 13th Part 7. I can't remember the name of this girl, but she gets thrown out of a window. And she's wearing just like a little like t-shirt, and again, it's the same thing. Like it's a man with a really like crap wig and like broad shoulders and calves. So
sometimes the stuntmen have mustaches, even though they're playing women. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are always fun, and then the obvious one is Jamie Lee's Curtis's hair in Halloween 2. Although I have to say, after seeing last year's Halloween, which I did like the 2018 Halloween, I'm not sure if I liked her hair in that movie, which is also a wig. And I mean, part of me kind of wishes that they had just gone into storage and found her Part 2 wig and used that, because I don't know, there's something a little odd about her hair in the 2018 one. It just doesn't look any more natural to me than the Part 2 did. Do you know what I mean? No,
I mean, she's on my list too. Probably the number one because of her wig in Part 2. But the thing with Part whatever it is, the new one, the 2018 one, is that it just doesn't look good on her. I mean, there's a reason maybe why she wears longer hair now. I mean, shorter hair now. It's just kind of more natural to her.
I think so. Yeah,
it just kind of sticks out as like it looks kind of phony again, but in a different kind of way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. At least, if nothing else, the part 2 wig is more fun to me. I mean, first off, it doesn't even resemble at all what her part 1 hair looked like. And what's weird to me is that I've read online, like over the years, some people are like, "What? She was wearing a wig? Like,
Well, that's crazy.
Are you blind? That's the wig." And then, second of all, it just doesn't look like hair to me. It's like this ratty animal pelt that they just like they threw it on her head and said, "Here, wear this while you lay in the hospital bed or something."
Totally.
But yeah, it's just really it's this really unflattering poop brown color, and it's sort of parted down the middle, so it makes her face look really boxy. And yeah, frankly, I'm not buying that Tommy dug her with that hair. I can't imagine he would be into that, but maybe. Tommy had cute hair, though. Tommy was cute, like blonde and curly hair. I liked his hair. So, yeah, definitely Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, she's definitely the queen of bad wigs in when talking about horror movies. But I would also vote for, I have a few, but I would vote for Sharon, played by Terry Susan Smith in Basket Case, and her really ill-fitting platinum wig that just doesn't really look realistic in any way whatsoever. It looks very synthetic.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a cheap wig you might see on like a bad drag queen or something. Yeah, you're right. It's that's a bad wig.
I'm not as hard on it as say like Halloween 2, which was a universal picture. That was but when they got to doing Halloween 2, that was picked up by a major studio at a much bigger budget behind it than it did for the part 1. Here, Basket Case was made for probably like $100,000 or less or something, and of course, they didn't have a big budget for wigs. But I'm always distracted by her wig for sure. I feel like
it's not good.
Bad. But
it does make you think like hair extension technology back then and like wig technology was just really, really bad. We've come a long way because now you like wigs look much, much better, I think.
It's true. I mean, I feel like and it's more often. But you know what the thing is? Even though it's come a long way, for some reason I can always spot a wig in even new movies. I don't know. I'm always distracted by it. It was something that even when I was a kid watching Halloween 2, I'm like, that's a wig. That's not real. She clearly her hair was either shorter. I think she had cut her hair by the time part 2 was rolling around. Or some actors just do it because they don't want to. These days, they wear wigs because they simply do not want to cut their hair, because they're always worried about their next projects. That's how actors think these days, or are trained to think these days. So they don't commit to the haircut. So they're wearing wigs most of the time, and that really annoys me, because I spot it every time, and it drives me crazy.
Well, you're making me think of Robin Tunney, actually, in The Craft. That wig also is horrendous, and she had shaved her hair off before making that movie because she was in Empire Records, and so she still had that shaved look, and they just like gave her this awful wig, and I'm like, who was the wig fitter on this movie? That wig in no way resembles natural human hair. It does nothing for her face. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think in the competition of bad wigs, I mean, Robin Tunney and Jamie Lee Curtis are neck and neck.
Yeah, for sure. Robin Tunney is on my list. I almost want to give her a pass because she had cut her hair on screen in Empire Records. But at the same time, I'm like, her hair is almost essential to the movie because there's a scene where she's even like changing hair colors because of her witchcraft. So I'm like, it's drawing more attention to the fact that this is pretty fake hair. And she's the lead of the movie, so it's like, she's in every scene. So
you're going to see a lot of that wig.
Jill Schoelen from When Stranger Calls Back also makes. I think that mullet was actually a wig.
Yeah,
I looked at it closer when I watched the new Blu-ray, and it's also a wig. So she gets to be in both categories of worst mullet and worst wig. I don't know who would ever make a wig mullet, but they did. Apparently, it looks like that to me.
Well, if they can make a clip-on mullet, then I guess they can make wig mullets too.
More bad wigs. Emily Perkins in Ginger Snaps.
Mm.
I'm not sure why she even had a wig, but it's really bad.
Yeah.
Maybe to match the sister, because they don't. I mean, if you look at those actresses side by side, they look nothing alike. So maybe it was an attempt to give her longer hair, like like the sister character. I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind the wig, but it really stuck out in the last viewing of it on Blu-ray. And then Blu-ray is also as great a technology it is, that it really draws out some of the these. It defines like a lot of things, like the hairline and really noticeable bad wig. That one.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It's so obvious. That is not hair. That's
something.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, something else.
A recent Oscar nominee made my list here. Richard E. Grant in Warlock has a bad wig, but more importantly, Laurie Singer in Warlock has a worse wig. So it's almost like what is going on with the wigs in that one? So that person should have been fired, or whoever was responsible for that. But man, her hair is so distracting in that movie.
It's an excuse. I mean, part of me it sort of reminds me a little bit of like early Nicole Kidman and To Die For, maybe, but that's being really generous, because that just looks like a really shitty wig. But actually, Richard Grant's mullet wig is at least fun. I mean, in the front, he actually kind of looks a little bit like Steve Guttenberg, I think. And the other funny thing about that is that, he has that wig in the 17th century, and then when he like moves into the future in the 80s, he still has that wig. So it's like this timeless mullet.
The timeless mullet, I like that.
But I don't know, did Puritans have mullets? I don't know.
We need to research this.
Yeah.
Then get back to you. Okay, we're ending the podcast now, so we can research the real facts beyond your Puritan hair. I love Richard E. Grant, by the way, and Can You Ever Forgive Me? I think he should have won the Oscar. Just a side note. He was great.
Yeah. Still waiting for that one to arrive here.
Oh, I love that movie. I really, really love that movie. They're both, him and Melissa McCarthy were amazing in it. Great movie.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Jodie Foster in The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane makes my list. Again, it's just a kind of a very noticeable wig, and she's the lead. Not sure why they put a wig on a 14-year-old or whatever, but they did. But I love that movie.
It's weird because Jodie Foster was cute. She didn't need a wig. She was already blonde. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah, I have a feeling because her hair was maybe a little bit too tomboy for them. She was coming off of like Disney movies at that point, and her characters usually were the tomboy character, and they wanted her to look more like the sinister girl who lives on the lane. I don't know, but yeah, noticeably bad for me. Village of the Damned, all the wigs in both versions, including the original and the remake.
Hey, that's how I looked when I was a boy. I had that sort of blonde towhead look. I was always going for Ricky Schroeder, but that's what I looked like. I was one of those kids.
You were damned. Christy Swanson in Flowers in the Attic.
Eat the wig!
Totally. Her hair is totally fine until she decides to cut it, and when they do that...
That wig is awful. I forgot.
So bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, whenever she says eat the cookie, I just want her to like rip that wig off and shove that into Victoria Tennant's face.
That really should have been the real final shot of that movie, where they're walking off and then she just pulls a wig off and she's like finally free from the wig. not the evil grandmother or being
and Victoria Tennant could have choked to death on it or something instead of hanging herself.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
There's lots of terrible wigs in Waxwork 1 and 2. I give it sort of a pass because they're going for different time periods. So, but there's definitely noticeable wig issues in those movies.
Yeah, I forgot about Waxwork. Also, there's some good hair in that. I like China's hair, and
she's great.
Yeah, she's so beautiful, and Deborah Foreman too. She's really cute.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then finally, the waitress in Night School has a really bad wig. She reminds me that the whole waitress thing in that movie reminds me of the waitress. Reminds me of Sandy a bit in Friday the 13th. But I've always liked Night School. I think that's a fun movie that needs more love.
Well, you're making me think we need to give some love to Sandy, because that hair is also pretty great. Is that a wig?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It might be. It's one of the things that can go either way.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but she definitely gets props for that hair. It's so memorable.
Definitely.
And seductive, because Steve was kind of into her, I think. So
Steve's got good hair too.
Oh yeah, Steve's hair.
Best wig. Who would that go to?
Best wig. Well, I remember. Well, I think I have a few. But I think actually my favorite wig is Grace Jones as Katrina and Vamp, because I don't know. Oh man, I remember I saw this movie when I was pretty young. I was maybe 12 or 13 when this movie came out, and I loved it. And I never forgot that first time you see Grace Jones doing the striptease, that sort of arty striptease. I mean, I was like, what is this? I've never seen anything like that. But she's wearing that bright, sexy Ronald McDonald wig, which in and of itself is bizarre, because I don't know about you, but I don't think Ronald McDonald is sexy. But somehow...
Just a little bit.
She manages to pull it off, and she's got that sort of white kabuki face makeup and the awesome Keith Haring body paint against the Keith Haring background. And yeah, that wig, it's so weird, and that she manages to pull it off and make it sexy is also so fascinating to me. It's very arty, I think. And yeah, I don't know. It's the other one that comes to mind, and it's not technically a horror movie, although it has horrific things. I was thinking about Isabella Rossellini's wig in Blue Velvet, as when she plays Dorothy Valens. And it's interesting because both Dorothy Valens and Grace Jones, they're using their wigs to seduce men, and also to kind of cover up darker secrets that they have, and to hide all of that so that men will find them attractive. And so I feel like the wig in both Blue Velvet and Vamp is pretty important.
Yeah, I had Vamp actually on my list as well. I love performance art in movies.
Me too.
And I love when a movie goes there with that. And yeah, Grace Jones, I mean, doesn't get any more outrageous than Grace Jones in movies and in life. And I just love seeing her in that. I love that. That's a weird movie. It's not a great movie, but I like that it starts off as like a college campus caper kind of movie, like silly, and then it becomes like one of those movies where it's like where everything happens over a night, and so these bad things that happen, and it's just a fun movie. And then this unexpected thing of like performance art in the middle of it, which is pretty unique. I always like Grace Jones for sure. My vote for best wig would go to Drew Barrymore in Scream.
Yeah, of course.
Because I was used to Drew Barrymore looking a certain way in movies, and then she has great hair in, like, say, something like Poison Ivy, where it's which is used almost as a real character trait in that movie. She's constantly touching it and fiddling with it. She's someone who's kind of using her hair as as part of her sexuality, and there's a lot of interesting things that movie has to say with hair for both characters too, both lead characters. That movie is so filled with so many things that I love. Then Scream comes along, and she's wearing this wig that would normally bother me because Drew Barrymore has this great hair, and she's so pretty in movies, but why is she wearing this? But it kind of works. It really works for me. I don't know. I think it's just another way to go with her character, and it doesn't really distract me. I feel like I kind of accept her in the wig, which it's so hard for me to do in generally for movies to accept the actor in a wig, but I go with it. And
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I love that wig, and in fact, the hair itself is perfect. I mean, which I think is an important part of that character's makeup, because she's this sort of upper middle class, pretty girl. Everything in her world seems pretty perfect, and I think the wig is kind of signaling to the audience that fact, but it's a psych out because she gets killed, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, I think that hair is pretty important. Also, didn't she actually? She wanted that wig, right? She talked to the producers or something and said she wanted to look like Michelle Pfeiffer did in Scarface. I think
that sounds familiar. I sort of remember something like that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I like that she brought it to the table.
Yeah, but I'm with you. She's so beautiful. I have a straight guy crush on Drew Barrymore.
I think it's funny because like a lot of people that I know, a lot of women that I know, like my wife, everyone has a crush on Drew Barrymore. It's like,
I know. What's not to love?
How can you not? Exactly. And I would also vote for Elvira's wig, the wig that she wears all the time, and when she's playing Elvira, I think she just looks it suits her. It's something like that would, if you put that big beehive on someone else, it would probably look ridiculous and stupid, but on Elvira, it's just perfect.
God, I was a dummy. You know, when I was a kid, I was so afraid of scary movies and horror films. Even Elvira scared me. For some reason, that wig freaked me out, and I couldn't watch her on TV because I just thought she was too scary looking. So it tells you how far I've come in my life.
I love it.
But yeah, it's a really iconic wig. And whenever I see Cassandra Peters without the, by the way, who looks amazing. Cassandra Peters looks awesome these days. But yeah, it's always a little bit of a shock to me because she looks nothing at all like Elvira.
And she's a beautiful redhead. And very striking looking. I love her. Let me read off some lists, some pals of the show. Eric Threlfall of the Hysteria Continues podcast, and sometimes this podcast, he wrote in, "Oh, Meep. Most often the best hair is the worst hair, and vice versa. Although Jack Black's dreadlocks in I Still Know are peculiar and off-putting, based purely on an actor in question, as they look so odd on him. I love Tiffany Helm's hair as Violet in Friday the 13th Part 5, crimped and bleached the way I like my men," or something. I do love Jamie Lee's new wave fringe in Perfect, though. It encapsulates the 80s so well. But I've now just realized you specified horror, so Jamie Lee's wig in Halloween 2 is the worst, and her curly waves in Prom Night are the best. I didn't really think of her hair in Prom Night. I think she looks really good in Prom Night in general.
She does. Yeah.
Joseph Charlesworth. The first thing that comes to mind as far as worst hair goes would be that fake-ass mustache the cop wore at Sleepaway Camp. Another would be the wig Dwayne's girlfriend wore in Basket Case. As for best hair, I'd go with either Linda Blair in The Exorcist or Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Quentin Dunn. I may or may not be able to offer any specific contributions to this topic, but I will heartily say it's the best topic for anyone, any podcast ever. Okay, thank you, Quinn. Andrew Rooney wrote in Josh Hairnet, Halloween Water. And then Film Etiquette 101, never piss off the stylist. And he put in an image of Courtney Cox in Scream 3.
Oh, no! I still defend the hair.
I love the contrary opinion. I love it. Ara Alishan wrote in, I feel like this may already come up at some point, either on Retro Movie Love or The Hysteria Continues, but Susan Blue's mullet in Friday the 13th Part 7 is amazing.
Thank you.
Honest to God, I would watch a prequel about her going to the hair salon.
I'll go with you.
Yeah. Also, I know you've mentioned Drew Barrymore's wig in Scream a few times, but we need to take a moment to appreciate Skeet Ulrich's impossibly greasy do. I thought he was the absolute coolest and have been chasing that look since I was a teenager. Thank you, Ara. Michael Robert on my wall, he wrote in, I'm kind of obsessed with horror movie hair. My all-time numero uno horror hair queen would be Nancy Thompson, Nightmare on Elm Street. He also posted images of Robin Sherwood in Tourist Trap, Nancy Loomis in Halloween, Nancy Allen in Carrie. I know some might say this isn't full-on horror, but I think they're being kind of pedantic, as there's a tremendous dose shot of lead actress hair, and that was the two actresses in Mulholland Drive. They both have very good hair, yeah.
They're gorgeous, yeah.
I lied. One more, and it's from a horror comedy. So again, maybe not quite what you want, but it's Jeff Goldblum, and that man had glorious hair when it let it be wild and free back in the day, especially in this movie. And that's Transylvania 65000. And then Ben Schur replied, Jeff's hair was so sexy and everything. Maybe especially the fly. Sexy Jewish hair. And then Michael Robert wrote in, also, because I'm obsessed, can we talk about how perfect Pfeiffer's hair is in Wolf? Another film where the character's hair transition signals her actual physical and psychological transition. And then Ben wrote in, the entire journey of Nancy's hair needs to be discussed. That's Nancy Thompson. Maybe I can call in with a full analysis. My favorite Nancy's hair is in part 3. Her hair is very powerful, but Heather and her hair look is most beautiful in New Nightmare. The hair noose on the poster of April Fool's Day is very important. There's a whole argument that can be made about hair and maternity in the Poltergeist movies, as we see Jo Bette's hair make her evolve from young, cool, hot mom to mature, responsible, been through it all, permed mom. Then, of course, Aunt Pat's short hair signifies her total lack of maternity, making the audience feel Carol Ann's isolation in part 3. Speaking of Nancy Allen, hair in Carrie is very meaningful. Chris Hargenson's hair is full of sex and popular culture. It aligns her within the realm of mainstream perfection. It is big because she intends to be seen. Carrie's hair is flat and lowly, making her as invisible as possible. In the end, when she gives herself a body wave and becomes more beautiful, it is a betrayal of the social order because she's aligning herself with Chris. Sue, played by Amy Irving, who has the most perfect hair of the universe, has Carole King on the cover of Tapestry hair because she is timeless, empathetic, and an Earth Mother. Margaret White's staticky red hair is filled with all of her repressed sexuality and rage to the point of bursting. All of Margaret's repressed emotions are kept in the hair, which make her so imposing and dangerous. Compare this to Mrs. Snell's hair, which is comfortably contained and complicit with boring trends for 70s middle-aged women. It is not filled with repressed emotions because her vodka numbs them. Ms. Collins' hair is the hair of a woman who knows who she is and is comfortable with it. Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell both have hair journeys in the Scream series, but I can't even get into it. Possibly the most important hair in any horror movie is Jeremy Raines in Last House on the Left. I was weirdly so unsettled when I first saw that movie, and it went from just sort of being long to being this massive spray tower when they took Mary and Phyllis out of the apartment. For some reason, her hair signaled that things were not going to be good. Wow, that's pretty epic, Ben. Thank you.
Wow, Ben,
so
sure,
much.
that is fabulous. The semiotics of hair. I love the Carrie analysis. That's just great.
Love it myself, too. Okay, we'll be back right after this.
We girls love styling our long, luscious hair like super hair Barbies. Twist it round our secret barrette, push the tape another flip, and then clip. Super hair Barbie, you're in. Any way we want to look, our magic barrette is all it took. We girls can do anything like Barbie. Super hair Barbie doll with magic hair barrette and a glamorous jumpsuit. New from Mattel.
We should do overrated hair. Is there something? Is there her hair in horror movies that you found like, I don't know, overrated?
Yeah, it's a weird category, but yeah, I did actually think of one. Hands down for me, Ellie Cornell in Halloween 5. And it's not like Rachel's hair in part 4 was ever like that great, but I mean, in part 4 it was kind of like this typical hot comb brush back, and everybody had it back then. You just hot comb it back and feather it and spray it and you're done. It was pretty boring, like girls had it, moms had it, your grandma had it, everybody had that stupid haircut. But in part 5, for me, it goes a step further and it gets worse, because by the time part 5 came out, every girl had already seen Jennifer Grey and Dirty Dancing. And like I said, I went to school one day and like suddenly everybody had that haircut. And including boring Rachel. I'm not a big fan of Rachel.
Me either.
But, yeah, okay, good. Boring old Rachel gets the same haircut that everybody else has. And just to accentuate how boring and overrated that hair is, like, stand her next to Tina, who is a queen with those corkscrew curls and that velvet chiffon thing wrapped around her denim jacket. Like, that's where the style is. She kind of, like, sucks all the style from other people and leaves them with nothing. And I'm not sorry to see Rachel get offed very early in that movie. But it's true, everybody back then had that Jennifer Grey baby hair. Like, I remember Meg Ryan had a variation of it in When Harry Met Sally, and it was everywhere at the time. So I guess I when I had my man bob, I guess I could have gotten it, but I didn't do it. So.
You perm, you die. That's what you deserve it, Rachel.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. For me, overrated, I would say Samara in the Ring. I mean, just the whole idea of it being scary with like lots of dark, wet hair in front of somebody's face. It just is really overplayed by this point. I just never found it scary, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you. That doesn't scare me.
It doesn't scare me. Maybe because time too. I don't know. Just not. And certainly time with this one. I'm sure it was definitely a bigger deal 40 years ago. When is it 50 years now? Actually, when Mia Farrow cut her hair and was in Rosemary's Baby, and everyone was talking about her short hair in that movie. I don't know. My grandmother said that she cut her hair because of defiance from being in a relationship with Frank Sinatra. I don't know what the story is with her hair. I don't know why it was such a big deal having short hair.
I don't know. I think Diane Weiss did it better, frankly. Yeah. I mean, she kept her hair really short and pixie-like as well, and I guess it's cute, but yeah, it's not again. That's another cut that not everybody can get away with.
No, for sure, and I'm not sure that it looks that great on her, honestly. But it's often talked about with horror hair, and I just never really saw. I'd never really thought it was that interesting hair too myself. Mustaches or facial hair in general. What comes to mind for you?
Mountaintop Motel Massacre, which they might as well have just called Mountaintop Motel Mustache Rides, because everybody in this movie has a really shitty mustache. I mean, but everybody in this movie just looks like shit. I mean, I don't know if the producers gave everybody $10 and said, okay, go down to Supercuts, get something, or if they were too cheap and they just handed everybody a pair of scissors and a Flowbee and told them to do it themselves. But, like, do you remember the Flowbee, by the way?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But nobody looks good. Everybody has terrible, dried, feathered hair. Apparently at the Mountaintop Motel, they don't give you complimentary conditioner. I think instead what they give you is like some sandpaper, and they say, here, rub your hair and your mustache with this and get the dirt out, because everybody just has seriously sandpapery hair. But I think it was only $7 a night to stay at that motel, so what do you expect? But the worst is a character named Al, and he has the sandpaper hair, the sandpaper mustache. The mustache, it's so overgrown, it touches the tips of his bottom lips, and it kind of puffs out like pubic hair, and he thinks he's Mr. Cool, sexy. He picks up these two aspiring country singers named Tanya and Prissy, such sexy names.
Yeah, totally.
And they're all into him and his pastry, white, flabby body and a pair of cheap nylon briefs. Man, what passed off as sexy in the 80s sometimes was very questionable. But yeah, he's not the. There's another guy in this movie. He has like this kind of peach fuzzy red thing on his lips, and he gets a lady too. Like all the ladies in this movie, they're attracted to like really ugly mustaches. So definitely Mountaintop Motel Massacre.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in so long, but the mustaches, when you mentioned it, like they were just flowing through my mind.
Awful. And then there's a third one too. There's 4 of them. There are 4 mustaches in that movie.
Wow, it wins the mustache award for volume for sure. Volume of mustaches.
No kidding. God, and they're all horrible.
I think almost. Well, yeah, there are a lot. Yeah, so many 80s movies of a certain time period. Everyone had a mustache. It's either you had a mustache, you were in a horror movie, or you were in porn, basically.
It's true. Yeah. Who wore it well? Maybe like Tom Selleck. I don't know. That seems to be one of the iconic.
Oh yeah, I think everyone was trying to be Tom Selleck at some point. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So. Someone already mentioned this in their list already, but the cop in Sleepaway Camp definitely gets the bad mustache award.
So funny. It's like hair tape.
Yeah, because it's clearly either drawn on, or I don't know what happened there. It was either tape or drawn on. There was probably a scene where he cut his mustache, his real mustache, and they substituted it with either electrical tape or Sharpie. I don't.
Maybe they put the tape on somebody else's mustache and ripped it off and then shoved it on this guy's face.
Pretty amazing that's in a movie. But that's a pretty amazing movie in general, really.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, so many hair reasons, obviously, and even the end of the movie. A lot of other horror movies there's one in the 70s that jumps out at me. David Gale of Reanimator. He was in a 70s slasher movie called Savage Weekend, and he has a huge handlebar mustache in that. His character is supposed to be very sexy, but I just don't find that sexy. Really, him and his handlebar mustache. He's no Sam Elliott. Let's put it that way.
That might be a gay thing. I don't know. I like the Tom of Finland handlebar mustache. Mm-hmm. You know who wore that really well was Henry Cavill in the last Mission Impossible movie. I want him to have a mustache and everything now. But yeah, I kind of like the handlebar mustache.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not against the handlebar mustache, but I'm against David Gale wearing the handlebar mustache. Just did not look good on him, and his character again was supposed to be like this guy that. You know, these women are swooning over, but no. Do you know David Gale? He was the evil guy in Reanimator.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
Not someone you think of as sexy, but
no.
There he was.
Not my type.
Certainly in 80s movies like The Slayer, there's a lot of mustaches in that movie, and a movie that I love from the 70s called Mardi Gras Massacre. Not only does it have mustachioed cops, but it also has disco. So it has everything that I want in a movie.
Cool.
In one movie. So worst. When I say worst mustaches, also best mustaches. All these lists really best, worst.
Yeah.
And then all right, let's get to one more. We'll be right after this.
Who wears short shorts? We wear short shorts. If you dare wear short shorts, Nair for short shorts.
Nair leaves legs smoother, longer than shaving. Cotton rubbed on both legs proves it. The Nair leg is smoother.
If you dare wear short shorts, Nair for short shorts.
And now Nair has a fast-acting mousse for smoother legs. New Nair mousse.
We have to mention, of course, body hair.
This was a hard one.
It's hard,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, and so 2 things. One, I don't have anything for this category, but 2 things. One, I mean, I was thinking, okay, obviously like a werewolf movie or something like that, you would probably see a lot of body hair, but even when I was looking at images from werewolf movies that I've seen, the guys are like really smooth and but this kind of like led me down this really weird path, Michael, where I was, Googling hairy werewolf, sexy werewolf, hairy chest werewolf. And in my research discovered that, like, you know, there's this whole subgenre of gay porn with for guys who are like into super hirsute, hairy men, and I thought I knew everything. I didn't even know that existed. But werewolf porn is a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I can get it. But the other thing too, I was thinking, I have a hairy chest. I have hair on my body, and when I was growing up, I don't remember seeing lots of movies like outside of Alec Baldwin where there was like a lot of like, you know, hair. And in the gay world, especially, it was kind of weird to have a lot of hair because, like, gay porn in the late 80s, it, like, kind of changed, and all those guys were really smoothly shorn, and, but then it kind of, like, went back to, like, 70s hairy, like, you know, the appreciation for hairy guys that existed in the 70s, like, around 2000, and the, like, bears and all of that stuff was sort of coming into the mainstream of gay culture, and suddenly, like, having a hairy body was cool again. But growing up in the 80s was kind of tough for a hairy kid because I didn't see too many representations of people like me. But
yeah, same here. I'm Italian, and I'm Italian and quarter Greek,
yeah.
So
there you go.
I'm not.
You can relate.
I'm not smooth. Yeah, there's not a lot.
So do you shave, or do you wax, or do you do a lot of manscaping?
No.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I have a beard, so I don't even want to shave my face. The body hair awards go to Jordan Bennett in Ninja 3: The Domination. That's the cop in the movie who becomes her boyfriend. At some point, yeah, he. It's not even he didn't even take off his shirt. You can just know that there's like this chest hair flowing out of his wife beater. And actually tank top, and then his shoulders, and it's like coming out of everywhere.
Good for Jordan Bennett for promoting hair positivity. Hairy shoulders, back, chest, arms, everything is hairy on that guy.
It was kind of surprising when I was a kid watching it because you just didn't see that in movies, and this, I guess, Ninja 3 truly has it all. It really does.
It does. Yeah.
All sorts of hair. I remember when I watched The Midnight Hour, I've noticed this when I was a kid, that Lee Montgomery, who was a kid actor, he was in Bird Offerings and Ben, but by the time 1985 rolled around, he was in this TV movie that I love so much. But he was like pretty hairy for a teenager. I think he might have been in his 20s, but yeah, he was pretty hairy.
Wait, Lee Montgomery, he was also in Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Yes, him too. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if he shaved more for Girls Just Want to Have Fun. They might have, because he does show more skin in that. But he's noticeably hairy in The Midnight Hour. I think maybe it's like poking out from like the clothes, the shirts he's wearing and stuff. Like, wow, this guy's a teenager, but pretty hairy. The movie that traumatized me while watching it last year, for the first time since it came out on video. I don't remember watching it when I was a kid or whenever it came out, but I know I did. I watched it last year. It was on streaming somewhere, I think Amazon Prime. My Mom's a Werewolf. And the actress in that is also in Teen Wolf. Not Teen Wolf, Teen Witch. Teen Witch which was a Teen Wolf for girls, apparently.
Yeah.
It started out, so there goes the hair connection. But John Saxon as the villain in that movie. It's a pretty hairy guy. John Saxon in general. He doesn't often take off his shirts and like say like a Nightmare on Elm Street or anything like that. But in the 70s, he definitely did, and he was pretty hairy. And this movie he does, and this kids movie, ostensibly, this kids horror movie. It's a PG movie where he's taking off his shirt and he's licking toes and all sorts of kinky things, which was quite surprising to watch with my kids.
Yeah, he's got hairy shoulders and arms and everything. This goes back to like our discussion about Nancy. I mean, she clearly doesn't take after Ronnie Blakely, but so how much did she take after her dad, I wonder?
She must have had to use a lot of neat.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if we're going to end it on this one, but Linnea Quigley in Return of the Living Dead. I guess she would also. Was that her actual hair, like on her head?
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting color, and it was definitely an interesting way to take her hair. But the lack of hair at a certain place was very surprising as I was a kid. The lack of everything.
I'm so glad you mentioned her. I kept wanting to put her on my list and I forgot. But yeah, that's an odd hair combination to see in the movie. But she looks good dancing on that grave.
Yeah, some magenta hair and then hairless full frontal. Although there's no definition at all down there when you see it, so she was clearly wearing a prosthetic.
Yeah.
So it was a very strange thing to watch when you're a kid. Like, first you're like excited because you're seeing full frontal, but then you're like, there's nothing there.
She's a Barbie doll.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
So the lack of hair.
Quigley, yeah, she always had great hair, though. I love her trashy metal locks, that she wore in other movies and stuff. But here she's so great with another sexy Ronald McDonald.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think Ronald McDonald is kind of sexy. And now I'm thinking of him and like Linnea Quigley. They get together and do a dance scene together. all these.
Yeah, I'm kind of wanting a Big Mac now.
I'm into it. There's one more I wanted to talk about. And that was the movie Alligator, and Robert Forster in that movie. I just want to mention it because he talks about he mentions it a few times in the movie, his balding hair, which is something that sticks out to me because guys don't usually talk about that in movies, and his characters there's lots of comments about his balding hair in that movie, and I thought that was an interesting choice. And clearly, I feel like that's like a John Sayles edition. Like when he rewrote that screenplay, something he would have written. Like that.
Yeah, you're right. That isn't it. I forgetting that scene, but you're right. He is kind of balding in that movie, like from the front or something. Yeah, and you're right. Like male vanity, that's not really something that ever gets discussed in movies. But it's interesting that he does talk about that.
Right. I mean, he's the hero. He's the guy you're rooting for. They don't usually talk about their hair.
No.
It's not usually discussed at all, and especially if someone is balding. And I think the movie goes out of its way to comment on it. And then, of course, there's a callback to it. And in Jackie Brown, I know there was some inspiration from his character in Alligator with that one, and he was a bit sensitive about his hair, and he had hair plugs by that point, and he talks about it. But I just like Robert Forster a lot in that movie. And,
me too.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah. I don't think I realized that those were hair plugs, but of course they are.
Yeah.
I guess I thought it was a toupee or something, but yeah.
All right, let me read out the last of these lists before I forget. Let's see. Joseph Henson of The Stereo continues. A lot of these submissions are great, but if you want to talk seriously about unfortunate hair, look no further than Jennifer Aniston's hideous, teased mullet and Leprechaun. Nathan Johnson of The Stereo continues. Debbie's hair at the end of Boarding House, where the rent won't kill you, but something else will. Brian Norton wrote in Halloween 2 and the nurse at the beginning of Girls' Night Out. David Assassino, Witchboard is wall-to-wall beauty, especially the giant hair bow Tawny wears like a real-life Mrs. Pac-Man. It represents the lie of her troubled relationship that weighs heavily on her mind.
Oh, yes.
He also wrote, this beautiful couple from Twisted Nightmare. Their love was held together not by sheer luck, but by hairspray. Seriously, Tack's mullet is a work of art. And then he showed the image of them, which is Tack is the rare on-screen Asian mullet.
So I've just discovered this movie, and now I'm obsessively wanting to see it because of that image. I'm definitely going to watch this.
He also wrote, there are curls lurking in every frame of Don't Panic. It's really beautiful. And the quality and spirit of the Scream films is directly related in Courtney Cox's hair. Just look at Scream 3 and it says everything.
All of you are so wrong. I'm sorry. That's good hair.
He might mean that in a positive way. I don't know. The blonde people in Evil Laugh have conflicting strange hair. Her beau has very short, tight, white coat shorts with the 80s dad special, like a politician suggesting repressed sexual desires, while this chick is a free-flowing waterfall of eroticism. That was a funny image he shared on my wall. And then Chris Moore, so much great hair in Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, but Jess wins. And yeah, Jess had pretty seriously crazy hair. All the hair today. I love talking about hair. Our hair with you. It's pretty
So
different
fun.
for us and fun. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for taking this hair journey. Who knows where our hair will take us in the years to come? Maybe we'll be inspired by these movies and do some crazy things.
I think I'm ready to get a mullet.
You think you want a mullet?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why
not?
I'd see that. I'd like to see that idea actually. I might actually get a crimping iron and crimp.
Do it.
Crimp the whatever's left of my hair. just have a big crimp.
And grow out a really bad mustache.
Yes, I will. I will try my best to get the best mullet, best crimp, best mustache I could possibly get. I also need to get a case of Aquanet. Do they still make that? I wonder.
They do. You can find it here. You find it like in the cheap stores, and I'm always wanting to sort of take it and get rid of it because it's so awful for the environment. It's horrible.
Oh, aerosol cans.
Yeah. Oh. See, also I saw a can the other day of a Vidal Sassoon mousse, and I thought, who's using mousse now? I don't know, but you can still find it here.
No, I think I need some. I think I should have taken up that hairdresser's offer of getting some product, as they say it now. You want some product? Yeah. Yes, I want some product. Next time I will get some. I will opt for product.
Yeah, don't overlook the product.
Definitely not. So thank you guys for joining us on this hair journey, and thank you for writing in your lists. Thank you for supporting the show. It means a lot, and it's always fun recording these Patreons. I really do have a lot of fun. And thank you, Daniel.
So fun. Thanks.
I'm sure
glad I got to come back.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure we can come up with some craziness next time, and and have some more commentary on hair and outfits and all that fun stuff. I always look forward to it. All right, guys. Thank you again. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye. Ciao for now.
What's that on your head? What's that on your head? I say, what's that on your head? What's that on your head? Sal's got a wig.
Ricky's got a wig. Baby's got a wig. Kay's got a wig.
Red's got a cheap toupee.
Keith's got a big bouffant on.
We all got wigs, so
Let's go! On the neon side of town. On the neon side of town.
Joe's got a wig.
Bill's has a wig. Cindy's got a wig. JT's got a wig.
Carol's fall veil.
Robin's got a big bouffant on.
We all got wigs, so
Let's go! On the neon side of town. On the neon side of town.
X is for extra silky. X is for extra dazzling. And X is for extra body. Introduce your hair to Flex Extra Body Shampoo with Balsam and Protein. Plus, an extra Revlon bodybuilder no other shampoo has. Feel the extra rich lather, the extra silky body you get with Flex X, the extra body shampoo. And hold that body, keep that shine with Flex Net, the good-to-your-hair hairspray from Revlon. Beautiful.
Was she born with that hair color, or is that your doing?
In salons, the talk is about Miss Clairol. Miss Clairol, the colors hairdressers choose more often than any other hair color.
If I could be a blonde like that, I'd do it in a minute.
He's Cal 27.
Superb color, time after time. No wonder hairdressers trust the colors of Miss Clairol more often than any other. So for beautiful hair, gorgeous color, shouldn't you trust Miss Clairol?
Come with me. Come see something beautiful. Ultress, Clairol's newest, the only permanent hair color with a gel colorant. Colors are soft, luminous. Look at them. Even Europe never made shades more beautiful. Delicate blondes, not brassy. Subtle browns, black, reds. Only Ultress has extra conditioner. Hair feels soft, wonderful. Be the best you've ever been.
With Gel Formula Ultress by Clairol.
What she got and got a lot of, lots of hair from Prel. Lots of fullness, lots of thickness, lots of hair from Prel. Goodbye limp, goodbye flat, got lots of this and lots of that. Got lots of hair from Prel.
A little Prel leaves you looking like you got lots of rich, lots of thick, lots of full.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Get the hair that's got a lot.